Hi, and welcome to Katie's Corner in Space. My name is Katie, and today we're going to go over Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 2, Children of the Comet. If you happen to be wondering why I look a little bit different today, it's because I'm preparing for my daughter's wedding this weekend. If you'd like to find out any more strange things going on in my life, or find out when I'm going to be posting my next videos, go ahead and follow my Twitter right here. I usually try to post something mildly interesting every day or share information and news that's going on in the world of either Star Trek or Outlander, and sometimes a few other pieces of information for other fandoms. But for now, it's time for my in-depth synopsis of Strange New Worlds. There's a comet headed towards Persephone 3, a pre-warp society. Enterprise wants to correct the trajectory of the comet so it doesn't impact the planet and destroy all civilization. But the Shepherds believe the action of the comet is preordained. Spock uses a shuttle's heat shields to break the comet up a bit and adjust the trajectory of it so that it does miss the planet. Life is saved, the Shepherds think that all went as ordained, and everyone leaves as friends. And that's the entire episode. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot more that does happen, but that's the basic ins and outs of what happens in this episode. Once again, the graphics were spot on. We finally got the introduction of Hemmer, and I cannot say that I was disappointed with it at all. But let's start with Uhura's background. We find out that the reason she's joined Starfleet is that it was sort of her safety school. After her parents pass and her brother dies as well, her plans to go to the University of Nairobi are completely shut down. It's just not a place she's comfortable with even being. And so Starfleet is her second choice. Of course, Spock is a little put off by this and lets her know that if she doesn't want to be here, she should move aside and give space to somebody who does want to be here. However, he also at the end lets her know that should she choose to stay in Starfleet, Starfleet would be the one benefiting from her brilliance. He truly approves of the kind of person and officer she is. And of course, Pike is also encouraging her to find her place, wherever that may be. I think they're all hoping it'll be Starfleet, but I think it says something about the crew themselves that it's more important that she find a place where she feels comfortable, not a place that necessarily will always benefit them. Meanwhile, Pike is also struggling still with his future. This knowledge is a weight, and it informs all the decisions he makes, which are some difficult decisions, but also that he needs to stay where he is just to save the lives that he knows he is destined to save. And back to Hemmer. Oh, I really like this guy, and I like the approach they took to explaining that his deficit, his handicap, is not a deficit or a handicap, not to him, any more than lack of being able to read someone's mind is a deficit to humans, even though betazoids can do it. Although we do see some times in the original series where Spock points out the many benefits of being Vulcan and how humans could be just as good as Vulcans if they try to use their extra senses. Or at least their extra logic. So there is some give and take on what makes a being whole. And for Hemmer being exactly who he is, having the senses he does have, having them be a little bit extra to compensate for what we would think of as all of our normal senses, it says something about the kind of being he is, and it reminds me quite a bit of how the deaf community reacts when they are told they are handicapped. It is simply they're normal. And to call someone handicapped because their normal isn't your normal, it's a nice way to introduce the idea that thinking of him as somehow less than or someone who may need assistance is simply incorrect. I'm going to cut out a moment to just say I still love Ortegas. She is awesome. I dug that she came up with the frequency issue to try to get the shields down. She's just brilliant. And it comes out of nowhere sometimes. I also like that she was the prankster. Poor Uhura, but you know someone's gonna be the hazer and someone's gonna be the hazy. If she hadn't been hazed, she'd have been left out. So having her have to dress up a little bit extra when it could have been casual, hazing could be way worse. That's enough about our characters. How about the story this week? Well, it isn't the first time Star Trek has gone and visited a comet, by any means. We've had Masks on The Next Generation, where a comet that was basically a library repository of information sort of attacks the Enterprise. And all kinds of craziness happens because of this. We've also had on the original series a similar situation where a ship that has collected debris now looks like a comet houses an entire society. That happened on For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky, I believe. So we have visited comets, but this is a different situation. And the shepherds looking over and trying to make sure that this comet reaches every place it's apparently preordained to reach is a little hiccup. However, it's a strange hiccup because if you've read any of the Voyager novels, you will know that there are two that contain a species known as the shepherds. And their job is to watch over instances of dark matter, not a comet. And I'm trying to figure out if this is the same group, because they are still trying to ensure that things happen the way they are supposed to happen naturally, rather than having anyone move, errant comets, for one. Putting that aside, everyone is a genius here. Uhura is a genius figuring out the musical language. We also see Spock being a genius, being able to adjust the comet's trajectory just enough so that it misses the planet. However, Pike, I'm going to say, wins the Genius Award this week, not because of any amazing plan he came up with, but the execution of being diplomatic while lying through your teeth to make friends. He took a terrible situation where any action he made would only make things worse. There really was no way to make things better. He couldn't adjust the comet himself. He couldn't touch the comet himself. He could not do anything that the shepherds would see as invasive. So Spock taking the shuttle and heating up the shields just enough to melt a slice away, yeah, that was brilliant. Pike lying through his teeth and ending up making friends with the shepherds is just, I'm impressed. I'm so impressed. Now, we don't see Spock showing his human side often. I think I could remember him laughing once on purpose, other than in the cage, and that would be at the end of Voyage Home, the movie. But it's fun that his crewmates, one, try to explain humor to him, and he actually has his own moment where laughter, it is the best medicine for a moment. As far as keeping us in suspense about what would happen to the away team as they were in the building on the Comet, yet there really wasn't any suspense for one basic reason. If you've watched the original series, you know Samuel lives for quite a while. He lives and the away team lives, which means they probably get off the Comet without too much trouble. So there wasn't any real suspense as to, oh my gosh, are they going to get out of this? But it was so much fun watching Uhura and Spock sing to the Comet to try to communicate what was necessary. And I would like to know how Uhura knew exactly how to sing or what to sing to get it to drop shields. They don't go into it that much. But again, it shows that she is just linguistically brilliant. So I'm sure if we stay tuned next week, it will be all about Uhura and Spock and their wonderful concert that they put on for the entire ship. Yeah, probably not. So what did you think of the new episode this week? I thought, again, it was done really, really well. It was a very Uhura-centric episode, and I always love getting little tidbits about our crew members' past. And since she is a fan favorite and has been for so long, to get more information on her is pretty brilliant, really. Overall, I would say this episode ticked off all the boxes. Good plot, good character growth, interesting bad guys without actually having to be bad guys, and the crew working together to solve the problem, which I always love saying because that's sort of the point. Can we work together to solve our problems? Is there hope in the universe? Of course there is. It's Star Trek, and there's always hope. I'd like to know what you think about the shepherds. Are they the same people from the Voyager novels? I'd also like to know what you think about Samuel. Is he going to be a more intricate member of the crew, or is he just there as an excuse to throw Kirk on eventually? And what about Pike? Is he going to accept what's happening? Is he going to try to escape his fate? I know Una wants him to try to, but I don't think that that's possible given what we know about his future. If they're trying to stay on track with the series that have already been made, he's destined to go through a terrible accident. However, there is, I guess, the possibility that that accident alone isn't what puts him in the chair. Possibly something after his recuperation happens, something else goes badly. There isn't a whole lot of give in the story, but there are some openings where things could shift. So I'd really like to know what you think is going to happen. How is he going to deal with this future? And will he learn to cope and just go on as a captain? Season 1, Episode 2, Children of the Corn. Its inhabitants, not a... Now, we don't see a lot of Spike show... Now, we don't see Spike... If you've enjoyed this video by review and synopsis and thoughts on it, please go ahead and like and subscribe below. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to check out that one. And I will see you again next week. Bye.